welcome back to the Law of Attraction Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Keith. And today we're going to be talking about why your manifestation methods aren't working and what you can do about it. So, tell me if this sounds familiar. Okay. You're doing all of the things, you're writing your affirmations out and your goals out. You're giving gratitude. You're doing your vision board, and nothing seems to be changing. You don't have that breakthrough that has happened yet, and you seem to be stagnant or stuck. And you start thinking, am I doing this right? What am I missing? What's the piece of the puzzle that I don't know about that I'm not doing? And maybe it's me. Maybe I suck at manifesting. Maybe this doesn't work. And you spiral into this confusion and you second guess yourself and you start doubting, is any of this real? Is any of the law of attraction, manifesting stuff even real? Does it really work? Okay. So it does, but there are really common barriers. There's three that I'm going to go over today that are likely keeping you stuck or have kept you stuck at some point in time. Now, I want to say this isn't a one and done. It's not like you understand what the barriers are, you overcome them, and then life is easy breezy and you never have trouble manifesting again. Okay. You have to understand that there has been decades of conditioning that you have overgone, that we all have as society. And you can't just erase that with one day of focusing on it. So a lot of times what happens is you bring awareness to some of these things that are getting in the way. And when you have that awareness, you're able to kind of overcome it, see it for what it is, move past it. But then it'll come back up the next time you go to up level, or the next time you switch back from being consciously aware to being on autopilot, where your subconscious is running the show. So let's talk about the first thing, which is misaligned energy. Okay. So this is something that we pretty much all experience because we are conditioned to focus on one particular side of the energetic scale. Okay. So we're programmed from a very young age, in our schooling, and then when we get into the workforce, to be very left brain dominant. Okay. And the left brain is where you have strategic thinking, logical things, very linear, very tangible. And it's masculine energy. Okay. It's where the masculine energy lives. And we all have both masculine and feminine energies within us. But when you're too dominant in that masculine left side of the brain, that's all about strategy, it's really hard to let go and trust the universe and focus on your intuition and surrender. Okay. Because you want to be in control. You want a plan. You want action steps. It's like, just tell me what I need to do and I'll go and do it. And this is how I was, coming from the corporate world. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, enough with the meditating and all this kind of stuff. I don't have time for that. Just tell me what I need to do and I'll make it happen. And that is the problem, because the more you're in that mentality and the more you're trying to do, and just take action, the more you're really digging in to that masculine energy and blocking this flow of feminine energy that could quite literally help you manifest what you want effortlessly. And it could be the path of least resistance, but you're so closed off to it because you want the strategy. Okay. And I want you to think back to a time in your life where something incredible happened. It could be anything. It could be meeting your spouse. It could be how you ended up on the career or business path that you're on now. It could be something, that you overcame. I guarantee if you look back at where you were when you first encountered this, when back at step one, there is no way you could have known how it would play out. You could not have known every single step and every single piece of the puzzle that would fall into place, all the people and opportunities and experiences that would naturally come about. There's no way you predicted all of that, right? Yet we somehow think that when we want to manifest something, we can predict everything. We should be able to see every step of the path laid out perfectly linear. And that's just not the way life works, right? There's so many things that we can't possibly see or predict. And when you think about just our human senses, okay, we only see 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum, 1%. But of that 1%, we're only consciously seeing 10% of that 1%. So, like, what would that be? A fraction, right? Like a 1/10 of a 1% is what we're actually consciously seeing in our reality. Meaning there's so many opportunities and things that can come into play that you're completely oblivious to at this point in time. But when you start to allow some of that right brain magic to come into play, creativity, imagination, intuition, you will start to see things that were always there, but you were closed off to them because they didn't fit in your formula, in your strategy. Okay, so we really struggle with this because, again, as a society, it is ingrained in you for 12 years of schooling. And then, if you go on to further education and then you go into the 9 to 5, it is so ingrained in you. Don't trust your intuition and creativity. Grind it out. Hustle, hustle, work hard. The harder you work, the more success you'll have. Well, you know what? I look around me and I see a lot of people that work themselves to the bone to complete burnout and are no closer to, fulfillment and happiness and like true success than the person that's taking things easy and flowing through life. Okay. So it's not true, but we're ingrained to believe it. Like anything we want is going to take blood, sweat, and tears, but it doesn't have to be that way. That is a way, but it doesn't have to be the way. And it can certainly be the longer, harder road. So with misaligned energy, it's shifting that belief that I have to do more into maybe it's that I have to do less, that instead I have to quiet all of this mental chatter and go within. And it's more about my internal state of being that's projecting and creating my reality than anything external and tangible that I'm doing. Okay. And quantum science proves this, by the way, that it all comes from your internal state first. There is the energetic spiritual first and the physical matter second. So you can try all you want and work all you want, but what that's doing is it's throwing off your energy because next thing you know, you're in a state of chaos, overwhelm, stress, anxiety, and burnout. Okay. And when you're in that energy, then you start manifesting more stress, anxiety, chaos, and burnout. Okay. Because it's not about doing, it's about being. You manifest not what you want, but what you are, what energetic state you're holding on to. Okay. So if you're finding yourself in that scenario where it's like, I feel like I'm not doing enough, I need to do more, what you can do to start activating that right hemisphere of the brain, that feminine energy, is creativity. Anything you want that is creative or using your imagination is going to help. That could be, coloring with your kids. It can be painting. It could be playing, getting in that fun, playful energy. Anything creative or playful, using your imagination is going to start activating that right side of the brain. The problem is we are so busy, right? And then when we're not busy, we're so exhausted from being busy that we don't ever let ourselves just go and play and feel good and have fun. We reserve that for the weekend or for our vacation, right? But we don't want to do that. We want to manifest a life we don't need a vacation from. And so you need to get in that state of being now. And any creative exercise, any imaginative, like visualization would be, it's the same thing as imagination. Acting as if is the same thing as pretend play. Just sprinkling that in throughout your week is going to start activating that right hemisphere of the brain, that feminine energy to balance your energy out. So you find that sweet middle spot where you manifest in a way that feels good. Your internal state is playful, it's feeling good, you're in a creative flow, and so your external reality follows. Okay. Now, with that being said, let's go on to barrier number two. Okay. So, this is the subconscious conflict that, again, it's going to come up throughout your entire life because you have been programmed for years and years and years since you were a baby to have certain subconscious beliefs. Okay. And so you can overcome those beliefs. But what I have found a lot of times is when I go to reach the next level, the beliefs that I thought were like gone, they'll come back up again. And sometimes it's not as severe, sometimes it's more quiet or whatever, but it's a pattern, okay? And like you don't just heal a belief and then that's it. And you never have to worry about it again. I think that's a common misconception in the manifestation space. But there's likely subconscious beliefs that are always going to be coming up, okay? That feeling of doubt, of fear, of worrying that, you know, you're not enough or you don't deserve this or whatever is a subconscious belief that happened at some point in time. And so the best way that I have found for dealing with these subconscious beliefs is subliminals. And the reason is because they are like a back door into the subconscious mind. Okay. After age 7, where the first 7 years of life, you're building that core belief system, and there's going to be limiting beliefs in there that hold you back. After age 7, the only way to recode those beliefs, rewire those beliefs, is through repetition. And subliminals, the way that I do them, it gives you that repetition because you're speeding up and looping the subliminals. So a 1 hour subliminal is like a year's worth of affirmations. And so your subconscious gets that repetition. And the other thing I like about it is it's bypassing the conscious mind and going directly to the subconscious, which is important because when you say things like affirmations out loud or you hear them, there is like a BS meter that you have in your conscious mind that will say, well, that's not true. I don't believe that. And it kind of contradicts the subliminal message. But if you're feeding this command directly to the subconscious and you don't have that filter saying, that's not true, the subconscious is going to accept that command. So it's really powerful. That's why I call it the ultimate manifestation hack. It just works and there's no doing. Like you press play and that's it. You don't have to meditate or visualize or write out your goals or anything. You just press play and you listen passively. So you can listen while you're sleeping. You can listen while you're working throughout the day, while you're folding laundry. Like it doesn't matter. Just passively listen and let your subconscious do the heavy lifting so that you consciously can get into the state of being that feels good and let your subconscious deal with the rest. All right. And there's tons of subliminals in the Manifest It Now app. In the Start Here section, there's a really good one that's free. And it's kind of like the starting point for working with subliminals. So check that out if you are curious and want to know, what does it sound like? How do I feel after listening to it? That's a good one to start with. Okay. The other block is your nervous system. All right. So the way our society is set up, there's so much going on, so many distractions. Because not only do you have, your work and earning an income so you can pay the bills, but then you have to take care of your kids, your family, your friends. And then you have this distraction called social media where we're just constantly hooked in to all of this stuff. There's like always, we're overstimulated. There's just so much going on. And it's really hard to unplug and step away from that. And so, what I find in working with, thousands of people at this point is that we all start with this place, this baseline of overwhelm. Overwhelm. Like, if I ask you right now, do you feel overwhelmed or have you felt overwhelmed in the past week? You're probably going to say, yeah. I've also felt stressed. I also felt anxious. Everything, like, it's just been crazy. It's been hectic. It's been chaotic. That's like our new norm in society, is feeling that way. But it's not normal. It's not normal to constantly be in this state of fight or flight. And our nervous system is like fried. Okay. And so what happens is when you just go right into manifesting and you're like, all right, let's do this. Like, I just want to jump right into it. You're manifesting from this internal state, this frequency of overwhelm. And so you continue to manifest a life of overwhelm, of chaos, of never having enough time, of exhaustion. Okay. And so before you do anything, this is why I say you have to start. The first thing you should do before any manifestation journey, any manifestation practice, is ground yourself. Ground yourself, calm your nervous system. Because if you can do that and you can manifest from this more even energy, this peaceful, calming energy versus chaotic overwhelm, you're going to be able to think more clearly, feel more clearly, and manifest from a place of, this secure, stable, grounding feeling versus chaos and overwhelm. It's so important. And I mean, I haven't met a person yet that doesn't need that. I need it. I do this stuff all the time. Every single day, I ground. If I go a day without grounding, I know it. Like, I will pause and be like, why do I feel so chaotic right now and overwhelmed? Oh, yeah, I didn't ground today. That's why. Okay, so we all need it. Everyone needs it. No one is like exempt from this. And so the easiest way, well, I shouldn't say the easiest, there's lots of easy ways, but what I like to do is I walk outside barefoot. It's called earthing or grounding, where you go and you walk in the ground. So we're not talking about like the concrete, find some grass or some dirt, some earth, and walk barefoot. And what happens is when you step on the ground, you instantaneously fill with electrons. And so it's like charging your body's battery, because our body is electrical. We have electrical systems in our body. And when you think about an electrical system, it has to be grounded, right? Yet we never do this because why? We wear shoes with rubber soles. Human beings were not meant to walk around all day with rubber soles, preventing us from grounding. We were meant to touch the earth and ground. So I like it because I do that and I instantly feel more calm, more clear-headed. It's like it automatically just regulates my nervous system, and I feel like I've recharged my battery. Now, I live in Florida, so I can do this every day. I realize not everyone is in a climate where it feels good to go and do that every day. So if that's not feasible with where you live or your schedule, I have a great grounding meditation that is very effective. I use this all the time as well. I also have a root chakra activation subliminal. So that's cool because it really kills two birds with one stone, because you get the subconscious reprogramming with the subliminal, but you also get the frequencies and the affirmations and the energy of grounding, of feeling very stable, very secure, very centered. And so it's just a potent package. And I recommend that everyone start with that. And I've actually made it a prerequisite for the Quantum Catalyst Mastermind because it's just that starting point where if you're going to transform your life, you better ground yourself first, or it is going to feel like a chaotic wild ride. Okay. You really have to start with that. So I made it free, by the way, if you want it. It's like in a little manifestation starter kit. And you can get that. I'll put the link in the show notes, but you can also get it on my website at lawofattractiontribe.com. You'll see it's like the first button on my website. So lawofattractiontribe.com, click on that. You'll get the grounding meditation, the activation subliminal, and you don't have to listen to it every day. I think it's a great practice if you wanted to do that in the morning or the evening. You can, or just use it as needed. Like if you're having a day where you're feeling super, overwhelmed and you don't even know why you're just feeling that way, go walk outside barefoot and play the subliminal or the meditation. If you can't walk outside barefoot, fine. Sit on the ground inside if you need to and listen to it. They're both short. The meditation, I want to say it's either 5 minutes or 8 minutes. So it's like everyone has 5 or 8 minutes in their day. And again, we tell ourselves we don't. I have too much to do. Okay. That's the problem. If you stop doing for 5 minutes and let your nervous system regulate, all of a sudden, what seemed impossible 5 minutes ago is going to feel completely doable. Or sometimes you realize I don't have to do that at all. Things just kind of worked out. Okay, that's the power of grounding. So try that out. Those barriers, like I said, it's not a one and done. They tend to repeat themselves, especially when you're undergoing change. And manifesting is change. Up-leveling your life is a change. It doesn't have to be like a negative change, but really any change can bring a lot of that stuff back to the surface. And these are just basic tools that we should all have in our manifesting tool belt to be able to regulate ourselves and get in this place of aligned energy. And from that state of being, you're unstoppable. That's when you tap into the true power that we all have access to. We've just never learned how to tune into it. So if you like this kind of thing and this is resonating, Quantum Catalyst, which is my 6-month mastermind program, we go 100 times deeper into this. We go like 1,000 times deeper into this. We take a deep dive and it's really transformational because it's completely shifting your vibrational frequency and going within. And we dive deep into the science behind all of it because what I found is since we are all programmed with this left brain, strategic view, if you give people the scientific proof and evidence that all of it works, okay? The grounding, manifesting, all of it. If you have proof of that, it like erases the doubt and uncertainty that a lot of us have in this thing that we can't see. And so when you erase that doubt and uncertainty, you become unstoppable. Things happen drastically and in the most miraculous ways. It's like life becomes this fun game and you start communicating with the universe and seeing signs everywhere and things just start aligning and you get in this state of flow. That's the power of combining science with spirituality. And we sprinkle in technology because technology is kind of like the bridge that's helping the scientific world and the spiritual world come together. So it's deep, it's very transformational. And whether you decide to join it or not, we're going to open the doors in June and it will officially start July 1st. Whether you decide to join Quantum Catalyst or not, you can still get that free grounding kit. So again, just go to the link in the show notes or lawofattractiontribe.com. Grab that. It's free. And trust me, just do it and see how you feel. I guarantee it's going to calm you down and leave you feeling like a new person that can take on anything that comes your way. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, share it with a friend, get the word out, and I'll see you back here next time.